Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today what I want to talk about is why Contentious Dungeon Master advice is better than Harmonious Dungeon Master advice. And this is coming specifically because I recently watched a Ginny D video which gave strong evidence to this, in my opinion. All right, so let's jump into it. So I'm a huge fan of Ginny D. I watch her channel. And I really think she's doing something really unique. So she is a strong female voice in Dungeons & Dragons, and we need more of those. For a long time, for this hobby had a structure that seemed to attract male players and dungeon masters more than female. I think there's no question, we've reached a point where that's absolutely starting to change. And Ginny D is a very strong, powerful female voice in the D&D community. She does Dungeons & Dragons advice, and she mixes it with strong cosplay elements, right? And that's unique. That nobody's doing that, right? There's nobody who has a channel where they get in cosplay and do 10-minute question and answer scenes that are designed to allow you to answer in your own player character's voice. The stuff comes out on her channel that absolutely no one is doing. So she's truly unique, strong female voice, and I really dig her channel, right? But recently I had to cut out and stop watching a video she put out, and I appreciate her honesty. So basically she did a video and it said 8 things terrible dungeon masters do, right? I'm like, bet, I'm in, let me see what this is, all right? I got all excited. So she starts the video and she says, sorry, that was a super clickbaity title, but guess what? I'm going to talk about thoughtfulness and empathy, sucker. I was like, oh boy, what? In the first 60 seconds, she's like, I gaslighted you. And I'm like, I don't like that, right? One, I don't think people should use super clickbaity titles. I have a lot of sympathy for why people do. I fully understand the desire to make clickbaity titles. Try to avoid it myself. But she made a clickbaity title, and she gaslit people and brought them in and then told them in the first minute, I gaslit you. Which is good, because then you could be like, I'm out, right? And as soon as she said, I'm going to talk about thoughtfulness and empathy, I was out, right? I was like, thank you for telling me. Thanks for being honest. I didn't have to waste 10 minutes on this 10-minute video. I had to waste 1 minute. Now, guess what? Ginny D has earned the right to waste 1 minute of my time. I've watched probably 20 to 30 of her videos that I really liked, right? So she's got one queued up. I owe her a bit, I owe her 1 minute of my time, right? I wasn't I'm not gonna never watch her channel again. But I appreciated that I appreciated that she warned me about listening to 9 minutes of thoughtfulness and empathy about Dungeons and Dragons, right? Now, why wouldn't I want to listen? Now, it's interesting, because she said, by the way, the reason I use this clickbaity title is because y'all don't click on here's thoughtfulness and empathy in Dungeons and Dragons. You won't click on that video. I needed to get you in here with this title, right? That's why I'm saying Contentious Dungeons & Dragons advice is better than Harmonious Dungeons & Dragons advice. Here's why, okay? Now, why would anybody listen to contentious advice? Well, here you go. Contention means to contend, right? The people who put forward contentious advice are contenders, right? They're like, I want to be champ. I want the most players. I want the best players. I want my game to get more hype, more love, more respect than other Dungeon Masters games. Done, right? Contenders, right? Now, when I say contentious, I mean contender, right? Now, who are contenders? Contenders come from sport, right? They're trying to be champion, right? They don't come from battlefields, okay? Contenders come from sport, right? I could have been a contender. Right? That's a boxing term. It's not a battle term, right? Now, when it comes to sports, we're talking about not enemies, but rivals. There's a difference between being a rival and being an enemy, okay? And I think that people who give contentious Dungeon Master advice say, if you do this, your game will be better. right? If you don't do this, your game will be worse, right? And people listen to it, and then they could say, you're wrong, or you're right, right? But the reason I skipped Jenny D's, 9-minute harp on, like, thoughtfulness and empathy in Dungeons & Dragons is I heard it before, right? Like, on about 50 other channels who said all the same thing. They're like, talk to your players and then do what's just right for your precious little group of players, right? And it doesn't matter if it's perfect, and it doesn't matter if it's the best game ever. As long as you're having fun, you're doing it right, right? I've heard it a million times, right? Don't need to hear it again, right? Also, here's the other issue. Harmonious advice, telling people that whatever they do, right, is going to work out great and they're going to love it. There's a problem with that, right? What is the problem with that? Well, here's the thing. People do not like to be told that. I don't think people don't like listening to D&D commentators telling them that whatever they do is okay. And the reason why is it's a zero reason content. It's zero reason content. You get to the other end, you get to the end of it, and you were like, if I just talked to my players and then I made a subpar game that was fun for me and fun for them, it really didn't matter if I listened to advice at all. Like, I could have just done anything and we're all having fun and it's all going to be great and it's all sunshine and ponies. Why did I listen to this video, right? If any way you do it is right, as long as you're having fun and I could have my players have fun. Do I really? You get to the other end of that video and you're like, they just gave me permission to do whatever nonsense I was going to do to begin with, right? And just like, and the other thing is, this advice isn't really about Dungeons & Dragons. It's just about being a kind person, right? Like, it's really not about Dungeons & Dragons at all, right? And so you're kind of like, why did I listen to that? And if you think I'm wrong, there's a lot of this. So not only does Jenny D have to trick people to listen to her thoughtfulness and empathy about Dungeons & Dragons, right? It's not me saying that. She's literally saying that, right? You will find that in the first 60 seconds of her video saying, nobody wants to listen about thoughtfulness and empathy anymore, so I had to trick you to get you to watch this video, right? Now, I do really appreciate her upfront honesty. That saved me 9 minutes of my life, right? That is very helpful. And as soon as she has an innovative idea and doesn't want to say something that's already been said 100 times on the internet, I'm down. I'm ready, right? So, but I think that's the real issue is, contentious advice is coming from contenders. People are like, I want my game to be good and I want it to be better than yours, right? Like, right? And they are striving, right? If you're like, whatever is fun, you ain't striving for nothing, right? You're just taking what you can get and serving up pablum, right? And I think that's why people don't want to listen to that type of content, zero reason content. And I'm going to give you one more example of a zero reason content. Really smart people do zero reason content, right? And you got to be careful about it. Don't listen to it and certainly don't make it, right? Here we go. CGA, the CGA, brilliant Dungeons & Dragons and other TPRG commentator. Really smart guy. I love his channel. He did a video called World Building Flex. And he's like, you know what? Some people are like, say the following: I don't use pregens. That's for noobs and people who don't know what they're doing, right? And then he said, there are players who are like, my GM made their own world and I wish they had used a pregen. I wish they had just used a regular campaign setting. Then I would have known all the religions, all the worlds. I could have read it myself, right? And so CGA explains they're both great. If you want to build your own world, that's super. And if you want to use pregens, that's super. Problem with the video is, why did I need to watch it? Right? If it doesn't matter what I do, if I use pregens, everything's fine. If I do my own world, everything's great. What was the purpose? And that video's like 18 minutes long. I was like, that's 18 minutes of my life I'll never get back, right? Like, you spent 18 minutes of my life to tell me it doesn't matter if you use either one. And there's so much of this zero reason content, right? If somebody comes hard and says, hey, pre-gens, they stink, right? You could say, oh, okay, I hear your points. I think you're wrong, right? And if somebody says, oh, pre-gens are awesome, and here's the best pre-gens you can use, and you shouldn't be building your own world, that's a waste of time, right? You can say, I've heard your advice, I disagree, or I totally agree, right? But if somebody just comes out and is like, if you want to eat a salad, that's great, and if you want to eat a cheeseburger, that's great, why do I need to listen to it? What was the purpose of listening to you tell me that whatever I wanted to do was okay? Contentious advice comes from contenders, right? Harmonious advice comes from kind people who you already know what they believe and what they're going to say. You don't need to hear it again. That's my opinion. I'm willing to hear if I'm wrong on this. Clearly I think I'm right, right? But Ginny D's a super smart person, so like, is there a reason why she was wasting 9 minutes of people's time? I'd love to hear it. She doesn't do that in every video. She's got some killer videos that I really like, right? But this is a thing. Zero reason content is a thing. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you think about managing this, and whether you think D&D commentators should do contentious videos, contending to be better, or harmonious videos where they validate everything that everybody wants to do. Generally, with a few very narrow exceptions, right? Which you already know those exceptions. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.